Welcome to MedMen. My name is Pim, this is Andy, and today we are talking about the sheer importance of leadership in your MEDDPICC initiative. I would say, if you're thinking about doing a MEDDPICC initiative without the full commitment of the leadership team, you might as well don't bother at all, just go home. Is that right, Andy?
Don't bother. You know, it is right. I will say this, if you're using MEDDICC is better than not using it at all. We get it all the time. Individuals will write out to us and say, hey, the company I work for doesn't use MEDDICC, read the book or done some of your programs, really like it, but you know, what can I do? We don't use it internally. And I always say this, well, it's better just to use it on your own. You can start to use, you know, because everyone understands the component. Everyone understands if you talk about a champion, if you talk about pain, they understand what you mean.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is that if you haven't got the buy-in, the complete commitment, it's not just sponsorship, the complete commitment of your entire go-to-market team, then you are never going to unlock the full potential of a MEDDICC implementation.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, first and foremost, if you're an individual contributor and you're looking into MEDDICC, like, hey, is this something I should do? Like, of course, there's massive potential for you out there in terms of like doing better in your current role.
100%.
Landing a new role that requires MEDDICC, right? Or experience in.
Yeah.
But then if you look at it from a perspective of like, hey, we're doing a MEDDPICC initiative with our company, like, yes, go-to-market team, right? And the leadership of the full go-to-market team committed for the initiative is the best possible thing. Yeah. Realistically, we often still see like, hey, it starts in sales, which is also better than not doing it. But the thing that keeps on like coming back as to what people want to eradicate from happening is like the flavor of the year, the flavor of the month. It's go time again. We're talking about something new, right? And that shouldn't be the case. And typically, the difference maker, the change maker is leadership, isn't it?
I lived this. So the first time I learnt MEDDPICC, as it were, working for a great company, they flew the entire sales team out to Dallas, spending like a week in Dallas, listening to, you know, like seminar after seminar, learning about MEDDPICC. You know, everyone's coming in, you know, hungover, jet lagged, bleary eyed, learning this, you know, as we know and love, great framework.
Yeah.
But we flew back to London, as it was for me. And we had these really, like, they were really long, like Word documents, right, that we had to kind of fill out. And it just clicked for me. I've talked about this before, but it just clicked for me. So I was bought in. And so I started doing what I'd been trained to do. No one else did. I can remember this point, right, where my sales engineer, Kelsey, great sales engineer, I sent her my document as I've been trained to do, gave her the document. She looked at it, this is great. And she went and took it over to the VP. And everyone was like, wow, this is great. Look, someone actually did what we were trained to do for a week. This was like a month later. And I remember thinking about, well, what's going on here? This hasn't worked. And it was because, as you said before, it was the flavor of the month. That was what we were doing. We're going all to Dallas to learn this new thing. And there was no real commitment. There was no real complete solid buy-in from all of the go-to-market leadership team. You know, just the sales leadership team didn't talk the language, didn't embrace it. So yes, like I said before, that for me unlocked new levels of my potential. It helped, you know, turn the light on, so to speak, in what I now know to become, you know, professional selling. But it was just me, and I didn't, you know, that organization didn't unlock the full potential they had in front of them.
So I've got my own version of a story like this, and some of, you know, our viewers might know that I was a customer here before, right? I used to work for Cisco, and we had a couple of steps in our MEDDPICC initiative, and the third step was taking it global, right? And the most senior leader for that global organization said this. He said, like, you know, we'll do this because it's great for everybody, like the quality of the training, like it's all there, right? So it's a good investment in our people, but we don't want to impose it on anyone. Right? So use it if you want to, but you don't have to. And you know what happened? Exactly what you were describing. There were like a handful of people that were using it because they, you know, connected to it by way of vested interest. Like, hey, this like, I'm gaining something from this. I'm getting sharper. I'm getting more successful. I'm getting more in control, deal certainty, all those good things. But if you look at it from the perspective of an organization trying to unite their whole team by way of like a common language, it doesn't work like that, right? And so what you end up with, small pockets of excellence.
God, can you imagine the difference that would have happened at Cisco if someone had grabbed the opportunity and taken it and unlocked the full potential there of an organization like Cisco, with all of those business units, get them talking the same language, get them being proactively thinking ahead, proactively, consolidating their messaging, creating concise value propositions, connecting with the partner network in a manner that, so someone who's a Cisco partner, whoever they speak to, whichever account representative it is, they get the same download, they can give the same upload, the same language. The customer's getting consistent experience. But no, it was optional. It's a massive missed opportunity. It's almost, when you see some of the work that we did, like I said, when you were my champion and we made those great strides with the Meraki part of the business, and it was sponsored. Carsten did an amazing job of doing what we wanted it to be. And you compare that to how it was impacted in the rest of Cisco. It's an incredible case study for how not to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you really look at our industry and the SCOs and the event that you were talking about that you just thought about yourself, like that is what's happening all the time. So when we say like the leadership commitment, like that's not just a thing on the front end of an initiative, like a senior leader saying like, hey, we're all gonna do this, everybody on board, and the SCO energy will get everybody to say, yes, let's do it. And then, you go back into the field and it magically kind of happens. It doesn't work like that, right? So from a leadership perspective, you could say in the same sense that we say not all MEDDICC is equal. It's more about like the depth and the quality of the content, etc. It's also not all MEDDICC initiatives are equal.
Yes.
And typically the big change maker is how leadership shows up, not just at a SCO event, but week in, week out, making sure that the environment that they create for this common language to truly cement in how the operation works is the thing, right? It underpins everything that you do. So you really got to show up every single week with that same commitment.
Yeah, and what's in it for the go-to-market team leaders is not just the sales team is going to be higher performing, better executing. If you work with us and how we see MEDDICC, it's going to be the entire go-to-market team that's going to increase their performance. So the marketing team can look at how they can use MEDDICC language in their positioning, so they're consistent and cohesive when they talk about pain and gain and the metrics that measure the delta between the two. They use proactive decision criteria in all of their positioning so that when prospects come across their website, when they come across their marketing materials, they're starting to be inspired with what the vendor thinks their decision criteria should be. We're starting to influence proactively from the start. That carries through to the SDRs who then pick up those leads and can see what was it, what pain was it that attracted this customer to them, and then flow through with relevant messaging to capture that customer's attention, to book the meeting, to hand over to the account executive who can say the reason why we caught this customer's attention was this use case, this M1. And this is how we're going to differentiate, to carry that all the way through the sales process, including working with channel partners and giving those channel partners a consistent download, briefing, being able to align on what value you're talking about to what stakeholders and what part of the process and where we are in the process. Consistent all the way through, and then delivery as well, bringing together the selling team and the delivering team, the AEs and the customer success managers with one message. That is what's in it. That's why go-to-market teams and their leadership, more importantly, should be excited about this. That's why they should be on board. And that's what we talk about when we say you're not unlocking the full potential if you don't have them on board. Because all of those little gems, and those are just ones of literally thousands, by the way. All those little gems are left. And we're just going, well, this is just the way we qualify. Do you have a champion or not? No. Okay, go get a champion. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, I think like if you're any leader and you would step into the organization that you are describing, which is describing some of our customers today, right? It doesn't magically happen, but it's like leadership showing up the way that they need to in order to create this. Like you would be thinking like, oh my God, what's going on here? Like everything feels simple, almost like they're playing a game using cheat codes. But that's not what it is, right? It's like underpinning the whole organization with a common language so that everybody operates with like this next sense of like clarity. And at the end of the day, what is it about? If we connect it back to a vested interest for leaders, it's like creating the results generating the results that the business is after. For individuals, reaching their full potential, creating like the next step in their career, like, winning bigger deals. So everybody wins at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I will just say the best examples we've seen of this, and some really commendable examples, it's been the CEO that has been, I don't like the term sponsor because that suggests that it's just kind of like, use my name to make things happen and I'll dip in and dip out. In this case, this CEO, I have seen them on stage multiple times. And we're talking top tier CEO, one of the Fortune 500 company for sure, top founder, CEO, president. I've seen that person. I've seen them on stage with just one word behind them, MEDDPICC. I've seen them in deal reviews. I've seen them in conversation. I've seen them by the water cooler talking deals in the language. That is the standard that everyone should be aiming for. And, it's not just because it's good for the go-to-market team. It's easier for that CEO. They don't have to try and unpack, translate anything. They just understand. They know. And if they get that briefing going into a big account meeting, they're going to be sharp.
The single biggest takeaway for me and what you said there is like the consistency. It's not just at the beginning, big stage, screen behind them,
right.
SCO event. It is the every single day cadences and how they show up in their organization. What we are saying is that without leadership, without commitment, a continuous commitment throughout the entire year for multiple years, like this doesn't happen, right? You won't embed MEDDPICC successfully in your organization.
Exactly right. Cheers to that.
Cheers.